Jono Lester, he's so Kiwi, he named his two cats Peanut and Whitaker. He also has some interesting fashion tips for you later, Will. The way he's rocking that hat, he will be off the front row, but Will, he has to stop for 57 seconds. With Crick starting alongside him in the Mies car, that'll actually be a difference of, 8 seconds just between those two off the front row. Keep an eye out for Nathan Antunes. He'll be driving that car solo this weekend, and his pit stop time, a whopping 21 seconds less than what Jono Lester will be in the pit lane for. So that's a huge advantage.
Yeah, it is a massive advantage. Seeing that Antunes is actually going to be quite close to his pace. Lester's going to want to take off, get a big gap, but if Cricky gets him at the start, he's not easy to pass, so it's going to be good.
Look at the list of cars: McLarens, Lamborghinis, Porsches, Audis, Ferrari off the front row. We've got 2 Ginettas, 1 Lotus, and those magnificent Ryder Camaros built in Germany. Big, fat 7.9 litre V8 out of Detroit, powering them around the racetrack. 2 of them out there, and 1 in the hands of Thomas Enger, will be starting out of position 34, sharing that car with Justin McMillan this weekend. And cannot wait to see how those 2 guys go ripping through the field, including Stephen Richards, 3-time Bathurst champ, out of position number 28. Oh, Ansi getting excited. He knows he needs to build a gap.
Don't know if that's a wave or a nervous twitch he's got going on there. I'd say it's the latter.
He's won the Steel Trophy before in 2007 for the best young driver in New Zealand, something that Jason Richards has won, Van Gisbergen, Coulthard. So you know he's of a good pedigree. 3rd-generation racer. Does most of his racing in Japan, but today needs to get it done on the streets of Adelaide. Off we go on the formation lap. Once again, we'll run you through how this will work. It's going to be a 30-minute timed race from as soon as the green flag flies the next time around. The pit stop window will open at the 10-minute mark. Every driver must come in, and you must get your pit stop done before 20 minutes and the race is up.
Will be interesting to see what lap they come in. Will they choose to come in at the opening, the window, right at the closing? That'll probably all be dependent on how they're situated in traffic, see if they can strategically get past some cars.
Safety cars. I mean, we had 2 red flags in qualifying, in a 20-minute qualifying session. What are we going to get in a 30-minute race? Obviously, if a safety car comes out in that pit stop window, it's an absolute no-brainer.
Well, it is, exactly. We're going to see everyone flooding the pit lane. Some people are going to pit before it and be unlucky. Some will be lucky. That's just motorsport for you with this type of racing. So you do everything you can to try and be prepared, but safety cars play a huge part in these races. You know, for some of these guys that aren't regularly racing at a track like this, making mistakes after 20 minutes, half an hour is very easy to do, which will see the safety cars quite prominent.
There's one of 3 McLarens that were entered this weekend. That's the older model MP412C, driven by 2-time Australian GT champion Clark Quinn in this race. He will be sharing that car with his dad later tonight in a 1-hour race. And I have had a look at the forecast. A top of 34 today, Will, but there is just a teeny tiny chance of rain at about 6 p.m. tonight when these guys will be on track for their 1-hour race, so it might be slippery.
I was hoping you were going to say there's going to be a bit of drizzle during our races in the V8, which always makes it pretty hairy, but yeah, it's hot today. It's warm out there, so not sure how many of these guys. I mean, it's only 30 minutes. You'd be surprised, though, the temperature inside these GT cars after half an hour when the ambient's up like it is, although it's still the morning. The temperature will play a big part in the cockpit, and fitness important, and once you start getting hot, dehydrated, that's when brain fades, mistakes come into play, and there is no room for error around this place.
So it's not only a great mix of manufacturers, we also have 3 separate classes running within the Australian GT Championship. The top flight being GT Championship itself for the latest, greatest GT3 cars out of Europe and indeed around the world. And we have 19 of those entered this weekend, so just taking outright honours will be difficult. From there we have the trophy class, which is for the older model GT3 cars like the 2011 model R8 that we saw claim a couple of Bathurst 12-hour victories. And then behind that, the challenge class for, I guess, the cars that don't really find a home anywhere else in Australian motorsport. They're welcome here. It's time for the first race of the championship in 2015. First time since 2012, Ferrari have taken pole. And then this time, it's going to be Jono Lester. Alongside him, a man who's 35 years, he's senior in an Audi Crick. And away we go, clean start. The front packer roaring down, good start by Dean Canto. He looks to the outside of the Audi, aborts the move. Over the curbs goes Crick. And look at the Aston Martin just pounding the back of him. Morgan Haber taking some curbs in the big Mercedes, and Canto's up the inside, and he's aggressive. He wants second. He relegates the Jamak Penalty back a spot. Nathan Antunes is looking brave at turn 5. It's not going to happen there, but everyone's ganging up on the 2006 champion, and cold tyres can't get the grip on those Pirellis. The exit of 5, and through 6 we go.
Good move by Dean Canto. And Tunes now into turn 7. These guys capitalising on these cold tyres, trying to get through Greg Crick, because they know he's hard to pass when we get going.
He's going backwards in a hurry. He started in the front row. He doesn't have the luxury of handing the car over side by side on approach to turn 8. Who's going to give it in? Oh, it's way too close to be doing that on lap 1. And look at this, the McLaren goes defensive to the inside.
I think that's Marcus Marshall on the inside in the Porsche. Who's actually a bit of a...
Oh, no, the McLaren's been punted off. And that was Barton Moore in a trophy class R8. The McLaren's looking the wrong way. A 2-time event winner in this round is facing oncoming traffic at the hairpin. It was Moore clouded in the back of the Sticks Clark Quinn McLaren. And hopefully he can get that car moving and we won't need a safety car. But exciting first lap.
Crazy first lap. That was... Quinn was so preoccupied worrying about Marcus Marshall up the inside. He's obviously propped a little bit at the apex, and Barton Moyes obviously just got him in the back. Very unfortunate incident.
So Jono Lester will lead the first lap home, a standing time of a 1:27.5. He's opened up a 5.5-second gap, which is exactly what he needs right now, because he's going to be in the pit lane longer than anyone else in this race.
He needed those guys to battle. You knew that he'd be looking in the mirror going, keep blocking, keep carving up, because he needs a gap at the moment.
All right, let's break this down once again. Oof.
Well, you can see Bart's very busy pulling off his own manoeuvre up the inside of Greg Crick, so he's completely committed on the brakes up the inside, and when you get Quinn, who's got a car on his inside, he's had to prop more than normal, and there's just nothing he could do there. Pretty standard first lap concertina type incident, but very unfortunate for the McLaren.
David Wall running that team. That is a 2-car operation. Richard Gartner driving the Porsche. So that is David Wall of V8 Supercar fame, and also a champion from this category many years ago. The Erebus was flying up the inside of the Ford GT. That was Morgan Haber trying to make up some spots. Here is Barton Moore still circulating, currently in 6th. And a bit of a queue starting to form behind him, the McPherson Porsche. Two Erebus cars entered, which is nice to see. And this is the Twig and Emery car that's trying to make a move. Here is Marcus Marshall, all over the back of Nathan Antunes.
So good to see Marcus back out there racing. He's been out of the saddle for 3 years, and I can't tell you how excited he was to be back behind the wheel of this awesome Porsche this weekend. And he is on the money. He hasn't lost anything being out of the seat. He's pushing Antunes all the way through here, getting more and more confident every lap. And you've got to remember, he's got a pretty handy pit stop time there, which could really see him in good contention.
He's actually shaping up as a bit of a dark horse here. He'll be in pit lane for 30 seconds. The car that he's behind, oh no, it's Kevin Weeks in the Superlock GT. He's parked it in the fence. And that is a very awkward spot to get out of.
Looks like it's turn 4.
So these two cars have a different pit stop time of 6 seconds, which is really going to play into the hands quite nicely of Marcus Marshall. Here comes Tony Walls on the brakes. The McLaren very confident. Nice move up the inside of Peter Fitzgerald, who's driving that R8 Ultra. The objective McLaren moves up a spot. Tony Walls doing a fantastic job here, actually. He's up to 11th spot and actually make that 10th now. The guy's only been racing cars, well, for 3 years. This is his 3rd season.
Oh, good on him. And no, he looks confident in such a fantastic car. Better just be giving him confidence. There's these GT cars, in terms of a race driver and pure feel, got a replay. Oh, this is the incident up at turn 4.
It's Weeks up the inside of McLaughlin. Oh dear.
He was a fair way up there, but they've had some contact at the mid-corner, which unfortunately put him into a spin. Real shame.
McLaughlin sharing that car with Stephen Johnson later tonight. Stevie J will take centre stage tomorrow to have the 30-minute race to himself. Porsche versus Lamborghini battle right now. That's Magro chasing McPherson through the staircase, the terrace part of this racetrack. Let's see who's got the legs when they open it up. Tony Walls is hunting here. Turn 9 hairpin not too far away, and maybe he might be able to jump up another 1 or 2 spots. Look at the Lamborghini, pulls to the right. That is not the place to be doing it, just trying to fill the mirrors of the Porsche.
Let's see if Walls is close enough. Last lap on the brakes, he was unbelievable.
Oh, big one in the background, it's Morgan Haber. Morgan Haber in the Erebus Mercedes has hit the wall in turn 8. The bonnets come up, and the famous gull wing doors are opening. Good job by the Koala Furniture Lamborghini to avoid the wheel that was sliding across the road. And this will surely bring about a safety car 3 minutes before the pit stop window will open. But a nasty crash for Haber, a small fire, which would be underneath that bonnet if the bonnet was down. And this is bad news for Betty Klemenko's AMG SLS team. Left-hand drive car, so it's going to be really hard to get out of this right now as well.
Yeah, that's right. Let's hope he's okay. Looks like a pretty nasty incident. As you said, though, left-hand drive would be impossible to get out the left-hand side at the moment.
Oh, man, that thing was just understeering badly. I'm not sure if he got the entry curb or if it just never turned, but that is a nasty impact. I mean, we're talking nearly 200 Ks on approach to that corner. And look at the way the door on the right-hand side almost catapults off its hinges. Safety car has been called, Will.
Yeah, they did do some improvements with the walling there on the outside a few years ago to help cushion the impact on the outside of that corner. So hopefully you can see the angle of the wall there. That's all for that exact reason for this type of an incident.
Oh. Wow.
I had a very familiar accident there last year. And,
yeah, that camera in that very spot was taken up by your left-hand door last year from memory.
Yeah, exactly.
Courtesy of a run-in with James Moffat. And there's the shot we want to see. Morgan Haber walking away. And it looks a little bit ginger, but well might he be after a nasty stack like that one.
Yeah, it's so good to see him out of the car. I mean, being the left-hand drive, I had a little bit of concern there going in on the driver's side door. Very easy to hit your head on the roll cage around the driver's seat, and it's probably given his head a bit of a knock. He's probably winded, and the old ribs take a bit of a punishing when you try and take on the concrete.
Back in your camp, Ryan Madison watching on. This is the championship-winning team from last year. Richard Muscat took them to a championship, and they actually won at this track in 2013 in the hands of Craig Baird, but it doesn't look to be the way in 2015. So the field has been paced by the safety car. Jono Lester is your race leader, and Nathan Antunes and Marcus Marshall second and third. So did something happen to Dean Canto there? I thought Canto was cruising quite comfortably in second.
How far are we into the race? We're just over 8 minutes.
Canto's dropping back here.
He has a problem. He hasn't pitted.
So Canto's gone flying down our order. We'll wait and see he's popped back into second, so it might just be a timing issue with the Aston Martin at the moment. Oh, just a nasty impact.
See it at full speed there. It really shows how strong these cars are to see that he's walked away. The other guy's lucky not to hit the wheel and the debris flying across the track. He has hit the inside wall. That's what's happened there. He's clipped the inside curb or the wall, which ricochets you straight to the outside.
Ooh.
Quite easy to do, left-hand drive car. If you're not quite familiar with a left-hand drive car, I know from moving from a V8 into that, you need to be millimetre perfect, and yeah, he's got it a little bit wrong there, which big consequences.
Have a listen to this. Far out. Carbon fibre, wheels, doors, bouncing down the road. And he was at this track last year, Morgan Haber, running in the Dunlop Series, which was obviously a right-hand drive car. And maybe that has played a part.
You're travelling at that speed. You know, you're moving such a large distance in a small amount of time. You turn in points 50, 60 metres before the apex of turn 8, and the cars are very twitchy, and it's very easy to get it wrong.
We're 20 seconds away from the pit stop window opening. The field would be crawling around right now. Either way, they're going to pit behind safety car conditions, you'd have to think. And this is bad news for Jono Lester, because he has a 57-second pit stop. Dean Canto will have a 3-second better pit stop behind him, but the real winner here is going to be Antunes and Marcus Marshall. Clark Quinn's coming in the McLaren, limping around. There's only one McLaren that isn't carrying any war wounds right now. And one car is going to dive in. It's going to be Dean Canto. The pit stop window, as far as I'm concerned, should be open. It's 10 minutes, 13 seconds gone. The crews are about to get busy, but Canto's the only guy to pit here.
And Canto, Antunes, and I think I saw Marshall in at the start of pit lane there.
Well, if Jono Lester wasn't in trouble beforehand, he certainly is now. because these guys are just going to be able to catch up to the back of the pack under the safety car and cruise around. There's Barton Moore, who's sharing that car with Greg Taylor this weekend. Taylor out of Carrera Cup.
Quite a strange-looking pit stop, isn't it? Going to the stopwatch.
It's pretty much just the car controller timing away. Here comes the rest of the field in, which is what we expected.
There goes Marshall leaving now. Oop, trying to merge in.
Thomas Enger's picked up 13 spots. In comes the sole remaining Erebus car, which is in the hands of Max Twigg today, former elite class champion in Porsche Carrera Cup, and it is busy down there. This is kind of like a NASCAR safety car flag.
Thing is with Jono Lester, I think they knew they were going to lose the time. They're giving up a lot of track position right now, but not so much the time on track. So he's going to be fair way back in the pack, but the pack's going to be closed up on the restart. If he can make his way through a lot of those slower cars very quick, he could still be half a shot. His fastest lap of the race at the moment, a full half a second quicker, or yeah, 3/4 tenths quicker than any other car out there. So he's got a lot of speed.
Pit lane stacking, not so much of an issue right now, I suppose. But the reason why these guys are sitting there for such long pit stops, it's to even the field out. So a bloke with very little racing experience can get out there and have just as much chance of taking on a guy like Stephen Richards. And also the cars that started at the front of the grid are forced to stop for longer as well. It's all about evening the field out. But, I mean, here we are with the Trask family motorsport car behind the safety car and a whole bunch of people behind him who have already made their pit stops. So Jono Lester's going to be an extremely busy man if we do get back to some green flag racing later, trying to pick his way through.
Sure is. Interesting strategy that they've stayed out, but we'll see how it pans out. Max Twigg in the Erebus SLS has come out of this quite well with a pit stop time of only 17 seconds. Same as Peter Fitzgerald, so...
Marcus Marshall jumped Dan Tunes in the pit stop by the look of it. Tony Wall's still floating around position 8, so he's actually picked up 1 or 2 spots as they make their way down past where the stricken Mercedes is. So it's kind of worked out okay for one of the Erebus cars at least.
That's what this is all about. That's why they've seeded these drivers, and they change the pit stop times to suit, and it spices it up. Look at this. It gives everyone an opportunity now with a very short amount of time potentially to go on this restart. By the time the cars and the walls cleaned up, these guys want to win. If they want to drive down the inside and hold on, they can possibly get a podium or a win.
So if Jono Lester does box on this lap, that'll see Max Twigg resume the lead for Erebus. But behind him, you've got Barton Moore in an older model R8 running a trophy. And then you've got Marcus Marshall, who will essentially be starting 3rd on the track with an older model Audi in front of him. And then Max Twigg, who isn't a professional class driver. So it's looking pretty good right now for Marcus Marshall. Let's check out another replay and how this went down for the stricken Erebus car in real time. It's very dramatic. Man.
I don't think I want to watch that too many more times, to be honest. It never gets any better. It's very glad to see him out of the car, and it's going to be a pretty damaged car for the back at Erebus.
How much of that salvageable? I mean, the chassis is going to take, obviously, a huge hit out of that.
I'd be surprised if it was salvageable, to be honest, but fingers crossed. Interesting, so we haven't heard anything about that lap 1 issue with Moyer and the McLaren either. Haven't heard whether there's going to be any penalties issued there or how that's being viewed at this stage.
This must be a helpless feeling. Comes over to Australia with a Kiwi team, takes pole position, opens up a 6-second lead, and then gets relegated to the back of the pack, courtesy of the rule book. That's the way it is in Australian GT racing. Love it or hate it, the way the safety cars work and the way the pit stops work definitely jumbles up the field. Hasn't helped the Camaros out because they had almighty pit stop times for Stephen Richards and Thomas Enger, given the fact that they're both pro drivers, so that really didn't help. So they're still stuck at the back. It's a long weekend for the bow tie fans.
It is going to be unreal to watch him come through the field, though. Thing is, he is at the back of the train. He's leaving pit lane just below us right now, and he will restart at the back of the train, and he will be on an absolute mission to get as far up the grid as he can.
Get after it, Jono. This is going to be exciting, watching him come out of essentially 28th, 29th position or something like that, I think, when he gets back around.
Actually, Dean Canto. So Dean's actually got the fastest lap at the race at the moment on a 22.7. He had the second longest pit stop time of 54 seconds. So he's currently in P16.
How harsh gosh is that?
So that makes it tough for him as well, but you can see he's benefited by coming in that lap earlier than John O'Lester by a long way.
So trying to keep some heat in the tyres of these Pirellis. They'll have a 60-minute race later tonight, which will include driver changes. Running for the Murray Walker Trophy, which is fantastic. Murray did some commentary at this track in its Clipsal years, but obviously very famous for the commentary that he did back when it was in Formula One years. Yeah,
I mean, the voice of Formula One, he still is, and to hear him out here for all those years with the V8s commentating us guys, it was it was so cool. It was so cool to see him out here and have such a great passion for this event in general. I think with his memories for all those years of Formula One here, and yeah, what a legend.
The current state of GT3 racing in Europe is really starting to fold down into here in Australia with 19 of these championship cars here. And now it's going to be a Mercedes that leads us back to the green flag in the hands of a multiple champion Carrera Cup. It's Max Twig. He's sharing that car with Jeff Emery later tonight, but right now he needs to get his eyes down and run. The car behind him is a lap down in the hands of Clark Quinn. Barton Moore, who's third on the road, is actually second in the race. Magro gets a great start. He wants a piece of Marcus Marshall on approach to the centre chicane. He's going to back out of that one. Wise move. Antunes is behind him. And away they go down towards turn 4, bumpy part of the track. Clark Quinn, I think, wants to get his lap back here because he's certainly not moving over and letting the field go. Oh, Magro runs a little bit wide. He's actually got that move stuck now on Antunes, so great work from the Lamborghini. Good restart. Inconvenient for Antunes. He'll be thinking, I've got to catch up to Marcus Marshall. I've got to make a race of this while I can. It's brand new Ultras.
Oh, Magro running wide at turn 7. You can see the cold front tyres on the restart. Antunes just pushing the front, waiting to get some tyre temp so they can try and capitalise on any mistakes on cold tyres and make a lunge. This would be very awkward right now for Max Twig.
Oh, he's going to go defensive. I'm not sure he realises that the car behind him is trying to unlap itself. And that's kind of thrown Clark Quinn back into the sharks behind him.
Yeah, I don't like seeing this. You know, this is a big deal for Twiggy right now, being in the lead, and whether he's being told or not by the team, it'll be if he knows it's a lap car, you just want him to go away. You don't want to let him pass, because then that's instantly going to enable the Porsche to be right on his bumper. He's blocking a lapped car, which is understandable. Clark Quinn obviously wants to get on with it, but...
oh, no, it's Canto.
That's a shame.
After starting on the second row and finding his way up to be second in the race, he's pulled over and is a retirement. Looks like he's just lost all drive out of one of the 90-degree right-handers and will pull it over.
Clark Quinn.
He's getting desperate to unlap himself, and if anything, this has worked out beautifully for Marcus Marshall, who's all over the back now of the AMG SLS.
It's going to be a fascinating battle.
He's going to try this any way he can. He looks to the outside. Yellow flags here, be careful. We do have the stranded Aston Martin on the outside here. And still the McLaren wants to argue the point. What a bizarre race.
This is... I don't know what was going on there. We obviously had double-waved yellows, so it clearly caught Max Twig off guard. Oh, look at the run by Antunes off turn 8.
Goes to the inside of Barton Moore, under brakes. Can he get it pulled up? He does. Magro's up here fighting for a podium position at the moment. He's going to go side by side through turn 10. Exciting racing in the GTs. You've got the front pack brawling with a guy who's trying to unlap himself. Max Twig holds onto the lead of the race. We've got 10 minutes to go.
I don't know, there are blue flags out here. This is pretty frustrating. I mean, he's got speed, we know that, but it's certainly interfering with the race for the lead at the moment.
It's a shame that is a lap down, because he'd be putting in a pretty mighty fight for the lead of the race right now. He's certainly got the speed. He won't be doing Barton Moore any favours if he pops up in his mirrors anytime soon either. Antunes aggressive on the curves. These R8 Ultras, what a car they've been since they've made their debut in GT racing. They got Audi the win at the 24 Hours in Nürburgring, which they craved. They backed it up in 2012 with a win at the Spa 24 Hour. We know the success that they've had here in Australia. And it's still Twig, then a lapper. Oh, on the inside goes Antunes in contact with the Lamborghini. Magro just saw him and gave him some room. I think the fact that the Lamborghini's understeering through all these right-handers is just giving Antunes a bit of a sniff.
It's got plenty of snort up the straight there, though, which is making it tricky for a run. Turn 8, where Antunes last lap was absolutely dynamite. He's got a bit of a clear space in front of him here to maximise the speed through 8, see if he can have a go on the brakes into 9. Everyone covering their line.
There we go. So he's unlapped himself, Clark Quinn, the two-time champ. Has now got 3.2 Ks to catch up to the leader again. Oh, and now we've got the battle for the lead starting to appear. Marcus Marshall now has the lap car out of the way and can focus on trying to take Max Twigg. There's going to be some talking points at the end of this one. Look at this front pack.
See the strengths and weaknesses of the SLS on the Porsche right now. It's quite fascinating. The Porsche looks quite good in the slow corners. It looks good in a straight line. Lacking a bit in a couple of the more flowing sections of the circuit.
Okay, this was the move from Antunes. It was up the inside of the Lamborghini. He did a very good job actually avoiding that move with just the smallest of contact. On board with Antunes right now. Oof. That was very, very close to a bent Lamborghini just then. But he got out of it, the 26-year-old.
Marshall's got through to the lead.
And Antunes gets finally around Magro. He wants the outside. He's going to take any line possible right now, Antunes, of the Mercedes. So Marcus Marshall, the leader. Antunes knows this. He needs to get around Twigg.
We didn't see the move. I'm guessing it was possibly up into turn 4. Antunes knows Marshall's getting away, and he's going to be desperate to put a move on the SLS. Is he going to have a go at 9? We know Max Twigg's definitely going to cover his line. He's going to be well aware.
Here he goes. Twigg's going to leave it open. And the squirk out, he slides up the inside, gets the move made, and Magro's going to come from downtown and make contact. Oh, and Buttonmore goes up the rear end of the Lamborghini as well.
Bit of damage to the left front of the Lambo there, one of the front little wing flaps, which gives the aerodynamics. You can see, I think Twiggy actually conceded that position. He thought, I'm better off to just jump in behind here, try and make sure I settle for the podium, because as soon as the Lamborghini came up the inside, he wasn't having any of that.
The objective 650F McLaren's in there as well, doing a great job back in 7th. Here is the replay of Magro. He really stuck the nose of the Gallardo in there. And fairly hefty contact. Not as bad as it could have been.
No, you see the thump right in the middle there.
It's one of those Gallardo FL2s built in Germany, believe it or not, although an Italian stallion of great fame. Meanwhile, Jono Lester in the Trash Family Motorsport car has come screaming up to 11th. He's passed 20 cars since the restart, make that 21.
Yeah, we knew it'd be exciting to watch. So that's up into 10th, is it, right now? So, yeah, great comeback. Awesome speed in that Ferrari.
Studdard will be the next car. In the older model Porsche, he goes up the inside. I feel like if you see the red Maranello prepared Trash Motorsport car in your windows or in your mirrors, you'd be moving over right now, because he is taking absolutely no prisoners on his way back to the top 10. That's the battle for the lead right now. The Sticks, Licorice Choc McLaren is a lap down, and frustratingly, he might go back. Well, he's actually got his lap back, but he might go back down a lap here with Marcus Marshall catching him.
I tell you, it's a strange race, and Marcus, he's going to have his eyes in the mirror. Nathan Antunes has got pace. You can see he's actually closed that gap slightly in the last lap, but Marcus is actually catching the McLaren of Clark Quinn. He's not going to want to get held up at all by that McLaren in these moments.
Gee, Antunes, half a second faster than Marshall on that lap. Just set the fastest lap of the race, a 1:22.4. So the Squirk Audi is coming hard to try and catch Marcus Marshall, your race leader, who might be getting held up shortly by the McLaren. So there's some good battles to watch. This is Crick, started on the front row. He's back down in 7th, and Tony Walls doing a fantastic job right now, up into 6th.
Peter Fitzgerald just up ahead there in 5th spot, also doing a great job. Good to see these guys having a battle for the top 5, which is pretty impressive.
Peter Fitzgerald finished 2nd in the Australian GT Championship 30 years ago. 20 years ago, he won a Porsche Cup race here, the last time the Grand Prix raced at this track. So he knows how to drive around the streets of Adelaide.
Unreal. On board with Cricky there. Good to watch him. Still got lovely technique. Drives the car really well. Use all the road out of turn 8. He loves these GT cars, and he just loves being out there racing. So he's got his eyes on the back of that McLaren. And
these guys will want to get a wiggle on here, Will, because there's a very fast Ferrari approaching. He might not be in sight just yet, but goodness me, he's pushing hard. He just set the fastest first and second sectors of the race, Jono Lester, with some clean air. He'll be so disappointed at where he's ended up in this race. Here's the leaders, first and second being the Audi of Antunes. The McLaren, once again, just to let you know, is potentially going to go a lap down again. But it's not the leader of the race. The leader is the Porsche, Marcus Marshall.
Marcus just done his fastest lap of the race, a 22.8, but another 2/10 gain again by Antunes at 22.6, but a 21.7 for Jono Lester, fastest lap of the race.
McPherson up the inside of Studded. Oh, and he pushes. And this is going to work out quite nicely for the big thumping Camaro of Stephen Richards, trying to drive his way off out of a disappointing qualifying session. He claims the pole positions last year, driving with the M Motorsport team. He's made the move from Lamborghini over to a Camaro this year, although still kind of under the McMillan umbrella. And this is a very busy battle pack. Under brakes, and this is where the Camaro will be good. Use that 800 Newton meters of torque to get out of the corners.
Doesn't it sound good as well? He should. Oh, jeepers. I don't know if he's blocking or just unaware he's there, but Richo clearly a lot quicker. I'd say he'll pretty comfortably get through into turn 9.
Whew. Let's see how it stops under brakes, the big Camaro. Nice work. He does get it stopped, and that's impressive given the fact it's 1,310 kilos of pure brute force, the Camaro. That's Mike Griffith, a former champion in lower categories, has stepped up this year to run in Trophy in an older model Ultra, or older model R8, I should say. And there is Thomas Enger, 39-year-old from the Czech Republic, doing a fantastic job. And this is going to be a good side-by-side battle with McLaughlin, who's fighting away, sharing that car with Stephen Johnson. Headlights ablaze for the Camaro. 2 minutes 40 left in the race. We're approaching the dying stages. And this is some pressure now for Studded, because he's got a former Formula One star on his tail. The Camaro under brakes. Studded sees him coming and lets the M Motorsport Interloy Camaro past. Now to be the fastway Porsche, that's also one to watch in all of this. And that is Warren Luff at the wheel, who had such a successful year last year in Porsche Carrera Cup, has managed to find himself in this battle. He started back in 20th, was pinged obviously with a long pit stop for being a pro driver, and now is a part of this battle. And Studded's got some very fast cars behind him here. This is going to all come to a big climax down in turn 9. Luff looks to the inside of the Jamac Pem Audi. He'll get one. Honduras and the Superbarn Porsche wants to go with him. Deep under brakes. Does McLaughlin see him there? They go close, but they don't touch. And nice work from Luff, who managed to pick up 1 or 2 and all of that. Absolutely.
Good stuff there. No contact. I was waiting for it. I was cringing, but they all managed to get through there side by side without too much drama.
What a fantastic race it's been. We're down into the last 90 seconds, so the clock is ticking down, and up the inside. Big dive bomb, and contact is made. And around goes the 21 Porsche, and McLaughlin takes evasive action in the Jamac Pem Audi, and that'll send him back 2 or 3 spots. Disappointing. And Studded, we said he was going to be busy with all the fast cars behind him, and that was the result. Race for the lead, and Antunes up the inside, catches Marcus Marshall out, and gets the move made under brakes down at turn 9. And great stuff from Antunes. He's roared his way past 3 or 4 cars to take the lead in the dying stages of this race. He was hunting down the leader, so close to the outside wall at 11. What a race this has been, with multiple changes for the lead.
Look at the flashes. They're coming up to some slower cars. There's going to be 1 lap to go. Oh, Marcus Marshall, he's not going to want to give up a race win. He's got to sniff at it. So this traffic's going to play a huge part on this this battle on the last lap.
Okay, lap car approaching. It's Ben Thosel, former challenge class champion. He's got his mirrors full of the leaders. Look out to the inside goes the Audi of Antunes. This might work out nicely for Marshall. Can't quite get an advantage out of it. Oh, Antunes.
Oh, he's deep. He's very deep. Way too deep.
Oh, this might just be the last lap as we're ticking down to the last 10, 12 seconds of the race.
Lucky these things have got ABS, I tell you, because over the bumps there, the ABS would have been working overtime, and without the ABS, that would have been a locked wheel and straight up the escape road.
Can the Superbarn Porsche chase him down? He's opened up 1 or 2 car lengths when he needed it, but there's still a bit more traffic, which might play into it in the last sector. Looked like Anya Nadas's Lamborghini was up the road. And this will be the last lap, but the lead looks comfortable for Antunes. It'll all come down to traffic. Former Red Bull junior racer made the move to Europe as a young man, but now has come back to live in Sydney. He loves racing on the street circuits. He took a clean sweep of Townsville last year, and he's proving to be quick once again. Second in the Highlands 101 last year. He was sharing that car with Rod Salmon. Was running in Trophy, but now has stepped up to run in Championship. Last corner for the Beechwood Squirk Audi. Marcus Marshall's given up the fight. An exciting race comes to an end with a checkered flag going to the Audi. A small punch in the air. It's his first win in Championship. Fantastic work, Nathan Antunes. Great race.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic race. Fascinating battle and great last few laps.
Here comes Jono Lester. He won't quite get around Fitzgerald, but he'll finish fifth. Incredible drive from the Kiwi star. He took the restart in 32nd, and in the space of about 15 minutes, he passes 27 cars.
Yeah, awesome flyback. I didn't expect any less, and keeps that car well in contention for the rest of this weekend. But great battle up front. Great battle by Nathan Antunes. Had his eyes on the back of that Porsche, and we only caught the end of that move, but certainly was a big move. Not much room up the inside.
Man, oh man. There it is. Nathan Antunes is your race winner in the first round of the Australian GT Championship. Cannot wait for the 1 hour race that's going to be coming up. Barton Moore waiting here if there's any penalties, but look at the gap between the leading two on the rest of the field. Stephen Richards, by the way, charged up to 9th. Great job in the Camaro.